Hello viewers, Wagada Ronald taking you through the story of O-level mathematics of paper 1, and this video I'm going to go through the paper which I sent earlier of beginning of term 3 exam for senior 3. So we shall start with question 1. Question 1 says that evaluate this fraction. So the first thing to do is we have to deal with BODMAS. So we are going to first deal with this bracket and this bracket alone. So this bracket, for this bracket the LCM is 12. Therefore 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3, which is there. Then 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. That is why you see 8 there. Then for this other bracket, the LCM is 6. Therefore 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3, which is there. Then 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2, which is there. Then next is to simplify this one. So this 3 plus 8 is 11. That's why you see 11 over 12 there. Then this division sign is maintained. Then 3 plus 2 is 5. That's why you see here 5 over 6 there. Then to change this division sign into a multiplication sign, this one becomes a reciprocal. That's why you see here 6 over 5. So reciprocal means you interchange what was the numerator becomes the denominator, and what was the denominator becomes the numerator. So this was 5 over 6, therefore the reciprocal will be 6 over 5, and this will become a multiplication sign. The next is to remember that this is 1 and this one is 2. Therefore this 11 times 1 is 11 and 2 times 5 is 10. So in mixed fraction it will be 1 whole number 1 over 10, and basically that is what they wanted. So M1 is for this, M1 is for this. Then another M1 is for this multiplication, A1 for the mixed fraction. So now we shall go to question 2. Question 2 says that given that M star n is equal to 1 over m squared plus 1 over n squared, evaluate negative 1 over 3 star negative 1 over 4. So do we know this expression? It is what was given. Therefore this expression means that m is negative 1 over 3 and n is negative 1 over 4. Therefore when I substitute here, 1 over m squared means that I have to get the reciprocal of this, which will become 3 over negative 1. After that I will square it. Then the reciprocal of this is 4 over negative 1. Then after that I will square it. Next is to remember that this one, 3 over negative 1 squared, will become 9. Then 4 over negative 1 squared will become 16. Then when I add the 2, I'll come up with 25. So this M1 is for the substitution, and this M1 is for this output, this M1 is for this output, and this one is the required value. Now we shall go to question 3. Question 3 says make P the subject of the formula this, which is V equal to 3m over y multiplied by the square root of P minus x. So we shall first write as it is, then after that we shall remember we want to make P the subject, so we have to take this y this side and this m also this side. Therefore I'll come up with that, because y going this side it becomes multiplication, so it is Vy. Then 3m goes this side, it becomes division, so it is over 3m. The next is to square both sides. Squaring both sides, the whole of this is squared, which is that, and this one, the square root goes away to become p minus x. Then next is to take x this side to come up with this. So this squared v is v squared, this is y squared, this is, so 3 squared is 9, m is m squared. Then this one goes this side to become plus. So combining into one quotient, I'll come up with the LCM is now 9m squared. So 9m squared divided by 9m squared is 1. So 1 times this is v squared y squared. Then 9m squared divided by 1 is 9m squared, multiplied by x, you get 9m squared x. So basically that is what they wanted. So m is for squaring both sides, squaring this and squaring this. Then m1 for taking x on the other side. Then a1 is for combining into one quotient. So now we shall go to question 4. Question 4 says that in the figure below, Tn is a diameter. So Tn is a diameter of the circle with a center O. So this O is a center. Mn is a tangent. Mn is a tangent, and angle NTH is equal to 30 degrees. So NTH is 30 degrees. Calculate the size of x, y, z, and NHM. So NHM, which is this angle. So for triangle NMT, we shall come up with that. So NMT. When we go to this triangle NMT, remember angles of a triangle add up to 180. Therefore, 30 plus x plus y plus z will give you 180. So this is why we write this here. But we know that x plus y is equal to 90. Why? Because this is a tangent. Remember they told us that Mn is the tangent. So this is the tangent and this is the center, meaning that this angle must be 90. Therefore we shall come and substitute to come up with that. Where there was xy, we shall put there 90 to remain with z as the only unknown. Therefore when I make z the subject, it will be 60 degrees. So now we shall go to triangle NTH. So NTH, we have y plus 30 plus 90 is equal to 180. So let's see where that comes from. So NTH, remember that this is a diameter. Therefore, any angle subtended by the diameter at the circumference is equal to 90 degrees. What does that mean? It means that this angle is 90. And this we already know that's 30, and this is y. Therefore, when I add all these three, I'll come up with 180 degrees. So I'll come and say that y is equal to 60 degrees. But we know that x plus y is equal to 90. We saw it here. Therefore, we shall come and substitute for y to remain with x as the only unknown. Therefore, when I make x the subject, x will be equal to 30 degrees. Now we shall go to triangle NMH. So NMH, we have that x plus z plus angle NHM is equal to 180 degrees. So let's see where that comes from. So triangle NMH, angles of the triangle add up to 180 degrees. Therefore, this plus this plus this must be equal to 180 degrees. So this is the triangle NHM, and this is angle X, this is angle Z. So So you come and substitute for x and z to remain with only this unknown. Therefore, when I make that the subject, the angle required will be 90 degrees. So B1 for this value of z, B1 for this value of y, B1 for this value of x, B1 for this angle NHM. So now we shall go to question 5. It says that express 4.454 recurring, where 54 is recurring, as a fraction in its simplest form. So we shall say that let x be this given decimal. Multiplying throughout by 100, we shall get 100x being equal to 4.45454 multiplied by 100. And when I multiply by 100, I'll come up with 4. So this one shifts by 2, 1, 2 to become 445.45454. So my aim is to make the same decimal. So these are 5 decimal places. So even these ones, after multiplying, they should be 5 decimal places. And this dot to show that it's recurring must be seen. So next is to subtract the 2 to come up with this minus this gives you 99x. This minus this gives you 441. Then to make x the subject, I'll divide both sides by 99 to come up with 441 over 99. Reduce it to become 49 over 11. And in mixed fraction, it will be 4 whole number 5 over 11. So M1 will be for multiplying by 100, M1 for subtraction, M1 for dividing by 99, A1 for the mixed fraction. So now we shall go to question 6. Question 6 says the legs of a pair of dividers are each 15 centimeters long and are opened at an angle of 120 degrees. Find the distance between their points. So the first thing to do is to make a sketch. So they told us they are opened but at an angle of 120 degrees, so this is it. So these are the legs, and the distance and they of each are 15 centimeters long. That's why you see here 15 and 15. Now the distance they want is this one between the 2 points, which is x. So now here, since we have an angle and the sides enclosing that angle, it means that the easiest formula to use is the cosine rule. So cosine rule says this squared, which is this, is equal to this squared, which is that, plus this squared, which is that, minus 2 times this times that times cos 120 degrees. So that is cosine rule. Next is to use the calculator to simplify. So when I simplify, the whole of this will be 675. Then next is to put square root on both sides to come up with x being equal to square root of 675, which is 25.98 centimeters. So I use 2 decimal places. So M1 for illustration, M1 for cosine rule, M1 for square root, A1 for the output. So now we shall go to question 7. Question 7 says triangles ABC and PQR are similar. So the triangles ABC and PQR. Find the length of PQ and BC. So here we shall use similarity now. We shall say that PQ over 10 is equal to 9 over 30. So where does that come from? So PQ over 10 is equal to 9 over 30. So I think realize that this angle is 45 and this angle is also 45. Then this angle is 120 and this angle is also 120. So when we are comparing, we shall look at the side which has both angles. So 120 45 is 9 and 120 45 is P2. Then the other side will be this one, the longest one here it is 30 and here the longest one is 10. Therefore when you are using similarity, you shall say this P2 over this longest one which is 10 is equal to this AB over the longest one which is AC. That is why you see that P2 over 10 is equal to 9 over 30. So next is to make P2 the subject, and P2 will be equal to 3 centimeters. Then now we shall go to part B, which says that BC over 30 is equal to 8 over 10. So yeah, BC over 30 is equal to 8 over 10. So yeah, the longest side is 10, the longest side is 30, and here this 8 has 120 and also this BC has 120. Therefore in ratio form we shall say that BC over 30 will be equal to 8 over 10. So yeah, come and make BC the subject, and BC will be equal to 24 centimeters. So M1 for similarity, A1 for the output, M1 for similarity, A1 for the output. So now we shall go to question 8, which says that given matrix A, which is that find lambda, given that the magnitude of A minus lambda I is equal to 0, where I is a 2 by 2 identity matrix. So that is what we are given. So we are going to substitute for A, for lambda is unknown, and I is a 2 by 2 identity matrix, which is 1 0 0 1. Then simplify. This will be 2 minus lambda times 1, which is 2 minus lambda. Then 1 minus lambda times 0, which is 1. Then 2 minus lambda times 0, which is 2. Then 3 minus lambda times 1, which is 3 minus lambda. So this magnitude sign means determinant. Therefore, we shall get the determinant, which is major diagonal product of entries in the major diagonal, which is this times this, to give you that, minus product of entries in the minor diagonal, which is 2 times 1. But the total is equal to 0, so you maintain that 0. The next is to open this bracket. When I open that bracket, to be that, I'll come up with that. I think realize that this is a quadratic in terms of lambda, so I'll simplify to come up with this quadratic. Y squared is there. Then negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5 lambda. 4 minus 2 is, 6 minus 2 is 4, and this 0 is maintained. So here I can either factorize or use bulldozer method. So when I factorize, I'll come up with lambda minus 4 multiplied by lambda minus 1. That means that lambda is equal to 4 or lambda is equal to 1. So this one is for combining to one matrix, which is there, M1 for getting the determinant, M1 for the quadratic equation, A1 for both values of lambda. So now shall go to question 9. Question 9 says form a quadratic equation whose roots are -2 and 5. So that means that x is equal to -2 or x is equal to 5. To bring x on this side, to bring 2 on this side becomes 2 plus x plus 2 equal to 0. Bring this 5 on this side becomes x minus 5 equal to 0. So what does that mean? It means that their product is equal to 0. Then next I'll expand. So this x multiplied by this bracket is that, and this 2 multiplied by this bracket is this. Then I'll open brackets further to come up with that. So this times this is that, this times this is that, this times this is that, this times this is that. So collect like terms to come up with that quadratic equation. Therefore, that is what they wanted, because they wanted you to form a quadratic equation. So M1 for both factors, M1 for product of factors, M1 for expanding, A1 for the quadratic equation. So now we shall go to question 10. Question 10 says that given that sine A is equal to 3 over 5 and that A is acute, without using tables or calculators, find the value of cos A and tan A. So yeah, A is acute, meaning that it lies in the first quadrant. So we shall draw a right angle triangle in the first quadrant. So from SOHCAHTOA, sine is equal to opposite over adjacent. Therefore, if this is the angle, the opposite will be where the angle is facing, and the adjacent is this angle, is this side without this right angle sign. Therefore, they told us sine is equal to 3 over 5, meaning that 3 is the opposite and 5 is the hypotenuse. So I can use Pythagoras theory to come up with the value of x, which is 25 minus 9x, that is x squared. Therefore, x squared is 16 and x will be 4. Now that I've got x squared, I'll start getting the values which they want. So cos A is, from SOHCAHTOA, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, so it will be 4 over 5, because 4 is the adjacent. Then from 1 to they wanted tan, so tan is opposite over adjacent, which will be 3 over 4. So M1 is for Pythagoras theory, then B1 for getting the value of x, B1 for cos A, B1 for tan A. So now we shall go to question 11. 11 part A says, given that y is equal to 3x squared minus 5x minus 7, copy and complete the table shown for values of x greater than or equal to negative 3 but less than or equal to 5. So this is the table which is given, and they want us to fill these missing gaps. So I think let's start with part A. So to fill in the missing gaps, here we have, when x is negative 2, 3x will be 3 times open brackets negative 2 close brackets and square. So note that this x, it is the whole of this negative 2 which is squared. So negative 2 squared is positive 4. Now positive 4 times 3 will give you 12. Then bring this x here still, so negative 5 times negative 2 gives you positive 10. Negative 7 remains because the constant. Therefore y will be got by adding all these ones. When I add these ones, I'll come up with 15. So for this row still, so negative 1, bring it here, it becomes negative 1 squared, which is positive 1. Positive 1 times 3 is positive 3. Then negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. This 7 remains constant. Therefore, when I add all these ones, I'll come up with 15 positive. Now we shall go to this. So positive 1, bring it here, it becomes positive 1 squared is 1. Then 1 times 3 is 3. Then negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. This 7 remains constant. Therefore, when I add these ones, I'll come up with negative 9. Then for this one, 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Then negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. This one remains constant. So when I add these ones, I'll come up with negative 5. Then for this one, 3 squared is 9. So 9 times 3 is 27. Then negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. 7 is constant. So when I add these ones, I'll come up with 5. Then for this one, negative 5. So 5 squared is 25. 25 times 3 is 75. Negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. This one is constant. So when I add these ones, I'll come up with 43. So the marks for this table will be B2 for completing all the table correctly. So part B says, using a scale of 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit on a horizontal axis and 1 centimeter to represent 5 units on the vertical axis, draw a graph of y equal to 3x squared minus 5x minus 7. So I think let's first draw that. So on that curve we have the pair of coordinates to plot. We have already got them in part A, so these are the values of x and these are the corresponding values of y. So we are interested in these values of x and the values of y. So drawing the graph, you need a graph paper. Therefore we shall come and get our graph paper there. Then on the graph paper we shall draw both the x-axis, label it, and y-axis, label it. Then remember the scale for the horizontal axis, so we shall come and put it there. Then we also remember the scale for the vertical axis, so we shall come and put it there. So that we shall start plotting the tabulated values. So remember we plot x and y. So when x is negative 3, y is that. When x is negative 2, y is that. X is negative 1, y is that. X is 0, the point is that. X is 1, y is that. X is 2, then when x is 3, when x is 4, and when x is 5. So next is to draw a reasonably smooth curve through all these points. Note that I'm saying reasonably smooth curve. So let's draw that. And we have to label the graph. So now we shall go to Roman 1. So Roman 1, let's see what it said. So part C Roman 1 says, use your graph above to solve the equations. Roman 1, 3x squared minus 6x minus 7 equal to 0. So the first thing to do is to compare this with this plotted graph by subtraction. So let's do that. So when you subtract, you shall come up with y equal to x. Because this y minus 0 is y, this minus this cancels, but this one, negative 5 minus negative 6 gives you positive 1. That is why there is x there. This and this cancels. So that means that we have to draw the line of y equal to x, and the intersection will be the roots. So for y equal to x means that the x coordinate is equal to the y coordinate. So we shall come at the extreme values. When x is negative 3, y is also negative 3. And also when x is positive 5, y is also positive 5. The next is to use a ruler. So here we use the smooth curve. Now here we have to use a ruler to join these 2 points. So let's do that. So after that we have to label the line. Now the points of intersection are the required roots. So you are coming and read off that value, which is negative 0.85, and also that value which is positive 2.85. So we shall come and set that the roots are x equal to negative 0.85 and x equal to positive 2.85. So that was Roman 1. Now we shall go to Roman 2. So let's see what Roman 2 said. So Roman 2 says, to solve the equation x squared minus 3x minus 1 equal to 0. Still we are going to compare it with the plotted curve by subtraction. So when you subtract, you shall come up with that. Now subtracting, you realize that the coefficients are not the same, so you have to first look at this coefficient. This is 3, so bring it here. This coefficient is 1, so you bring it here. Now why do we bring it there? To ease the subtraction. So because when I multiply through this by 1, this equation by 1 and this equation by 3, I realize that I'm going to come up with this where the coefficients for x squared are the same. I think we see that now here we have 3x squared, 3x squared. So that was the main aim of this multiplication. After that, I will subtract. When I subtract y minus 0 is y, this minus this is cancels, this minus this gives you positive 4x, and this minus this gives you negative 4. So next I have to plot the line of y equal to 4x minus 4, and the intersection will be the roots which is required. Before I plot, I have to know at least 2 points of x and y for this line. So when x is negative 3, it's advisable to use the extreme points. So when x is negative 3, y will be that, and when x is positive 5, y will be that. So now I'm going to plot these 2 points. So when x is negative 3, y is negative 16. So I'll come here at negative 3 and look at negative 16. Then also when x is 5, y is 16. So I'll come at positive 5 and get positive 16, which is there. Now this is the straight line, so I'll use a ruler to join these 2 points. So let's do that. Then I'll label the line. Now these 2 points of intersection are the points which give you the root. Therefore I'll have to read off those 2 values. So that one is negative 0.3 and that one is positive 3.3. Therefore I'll come and say that the roots are negative 0.3 and positive 3.3. So now we shall go to the next part. So that was part C. Now we shall go to part D. So part D says that from your graph, find the Roman 1, the range of values for which this curve is less than 0. So here this was part C. Now this is part D. You correct that. So this is now part D. So part D, Roman 1, the range of values for which the curve is 0 is from here, this intercept, and also this intercept. So they have to be from here up to here. So you come and say that the range is from negative 0.9 to 2.6. Then Roman 2, they say that the minimum value of the function. So that means that we shall come here and look at the minimum value along this point where the curve turns about, or the turning point of the curve. So that minimum point we shall come read off, and it will be that point, and it will be negative 9.5. So we shall come here and say that the minimum value is negative 9.5. So B1 for the correct scale on both axes, B1 for plotting the curve, plotting points and smooth curve, so these points and smooth curve, B1 for drawing both suitable lines, then M1 for obtaining y equal to x, A1 for both roots, which are these ones, M1 for obtaining y equal to 4x minus 4, A1 for both roots, B1 for the interval, B1 for the minimum value. So that was question 11. Now we shall go to question 12, and says a bag has 5 blue jerseys and 3 white jerseys. 2 jerseys are picked from the bag, one after the other, without replacement. Draw a tree diagram to represent the given information. So let's start with that. So you come and first draw the bag, which has 5 blue and 3 white. Then the first branch, this will be B1 and this will be W1. So for B1 it means that you are picking blue, which will be 5 over the total, which is 8. And for this white, it means that you are picking white, which will be 3 over 8. The next is this one. So after picking one B1, you don't replace it, so you pick another B1. Therefore, it means that this one reduces by 4 to give you 4, and this minus 1 gives you 7. Then here we shall say 3. If 3 we have not yet tampered with it, so it will be 3 over 7. Then here we have already, remember you already picked white, so remaining with 2, so you have 2, and here we have 7. For B we have not yet tampered with it, so it will be 5 over 7. So that was part A. Now let's go to part B. Part B says that calculate the probability of picking Roman 1 blue jersey and 1 white jersey. So 1 blue and 1 white is this B1, W2, and also W1, B2. So we are going to come and substitute. So for this first one, it will be 5 over 8 times 3 over 7, which is there. Then this one to be 3 over 8 times 5 over 7, which is there. So this bracket gives you this, and this bracket gives you that. Then when I add this and this, I'll come up with 30 over 56. Reducing it gives me 15 over 28. So M1 for multiplication in brackets, addition, outputs, and required probability. So this one is for multiplication in brackets, which is that. Then this one is for this addition, and this one is for the output. So Roman 2 says probability of picking 2 jerseys of the same color, and Roman 3 at least 1 blue jersey. So same color means that if you are picking blue, you pick both blue, or white, you pick both white. Therefore, we shall go back to our tree diagram. If we go back to this tree diagram, blue means 5 over 8 times 4 over 7. Then white means 3 over 8 times 2 over 7. Which is that, so we'll end up with 13 over 28. Then at least 1 blue, it means that 1 or more, so you can pick 1 blue or 2 blue. So that means you can pick here 1 blue, first blue, then followed by white, or white followed by blue, or both blue. Still, we shall use our tree diagram to come up with those values. So when we use our tree diagram, for first blue followed by white, it will be 5 over 8 times 3 over 7. Then white followed by blue is 3 over 8 times 5 over 7. Then both blue is 5 over 8 times 4 over 7. So when I add, I'll come up with 25 over 28. So this M1 is for these multiplications, M1 for this addition, B1 is for these outputs, and A1 is for this answer. Still here, M1 is for these multiplications, M1 is for these additions, B1 for these outputs, and A1 is for this answer. So now we shall go to question 13. Question 13 says the weights in grams of 36 eggs are shown below. So these are the weights. Part A, starting with a class interval of 61.0 to 61.9, construct a frequency table for the data. Then part B, use your table to calculate Roman 1, the mean weight of the eggs using a working mean of 63.45. Then Roman 2, calculate the median weight of the eggs. So the first thing to do is to tabulate, but this tabulating will involve what we call tallies. So you come and tabulate our required values. We shall start with the classes. So classes, they gave us the class to use starting from 61.0 to 61.9. So those will be the classes. Now we shall go to tallies. We shall start from 61.0 to 61.9. So when you highlight them, they will realize that these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore, shall come here and put tallies corresponding to 6. The next is 62.0 to 62.9. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have put tallies corresponding to 9. The next is 63.0 to 63.9. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have to come and put tallies corresponding to 8. The next is 64.0 to 64.9. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you come and put tallies corresponding to 6. The next is 65.0 to 65.9. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you come and put tallies corresponding to 5. The next is 66.0 to 66.9. That is only 1. So shall come and put 1 tallies corresponding to 1 here. And lastly is 67.0 to 67.9. So that is also 1. So you come and put the tally corresponding to 1 there. So next is the column of frequency. Frequency will come from these tallies. So this one was 6, so you come and put 6 there. This one was 9, 8, 6, 5, 1, 1. So when I add all these ones, I'll come up with 36. Next are the values of x. So values of x, we keep on adding these class limits and divide by 2. So this plus this divide by 2 gives you that. This plus this divide by 2. 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 So those are the values of x. So because they asked for mean, but they gave us the working mean, so the first thing to do is to get the deviation. The working mean was 63, so deviation will be x minus 63. So therefore, this minus 63.45 gives you negative 2, and this one gives you negative 1, this one gives you 0, this one gives you positive 1, this one gives you positive 2, and this one positive 3, and this one positive 4. So next I'll have to get the product of f and d. So this multiplied by this gives you that, this multiplied by this gives you, 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 this multiplied by this gives you that. So next is to add all these values to come up with that. Then they also ask for the median, so you have to get the column of cumulative frequency. So cumulative frequency, the first value of frequency is what you put here. Then this plus this will get 15. Then 15 plus this you get 23. Then 23 plus this you get 29. 29 plus this you get 34. 34 plus this you get 35. 35 plus this you get 36. And lastly is the class boundaries. So class boundaries, when you look at this, so for you to get what to add and subtract, look at these two values: the upper class limit of the first class and the lower class limit of the second class. So when you get a calculator and you subtract, you'll say 62.0 minus 61.9 gives you 0.1. Now 0.1 divided by 2 gives you 0.05. So what does that mean? It means that to get the upper class limits, you'll be adding 0.05 on these to get the upper class boundaries, you'll add 0.05 to the upper class limits, and to get the lower class boundaries, you subtract 0.05 from the lower class limits. So when you do that, you shall come up with that. So here, this minus 0.05 gives you that, and this plus 0.05 gives you that. So when you do the same for this second class, you shall come up with that. For this third class, you shall come up with that. Fourth class, you shall come up with that. Fifth class, we shall come up with that. Sixth, and lastly, we shall come up with that. So now we have filled the table which will be used to answer the questions. So B1 for these correct class intervals, B1 for the frequency, B1 for the values of X, B1 values of D, B1 values of FD, B1 for the cumulative frequency, B1 for the class boundaries. So next is we are told to calculate the mean using the working mean of 63.45. Therefore, given the working mean, the formula becomes A plus summation of FD over summation of F. A is the working mean, which is that. Summation of FD, we got it as 2. And summation of F, we got it as 36. So in the end, we shall come up with 63.51. Then Roman 2, they wanted the median, so you have to first get the median position. Median position is a half n, which is a half, where n is the total frequency, so a half of 36 is 18th. So after getting that position, you'll go back to your table and look for a value where that 18 lies. So 18 doesn't lie here, doesn't lie here, therefore it lies there. So this will be the median class, and that's what we shall use. So we shall come and code the formula. When you code the formula is LM plus n over 2 minus CFB over m. So n over 2 means that it means this position, which is 18. Then CFB is cumulative frequency before the median class, and FM is the frequency of the median class, and C is the class width. So you shall come here and get those values. So n over 2 is already 18, and this is the median class. Therefore, cumulative frequency before the median class is this, which is 15. Then lower class boundary of the median class is this, which is 62.95. And frequency of the median class is this, which is 8. Then class width. Now class width will be got by subtracting these two class boundaries, this minus this, to give you the class width, which is 1. So you come and substitute those values in our given formula. So when I substitute, this one's the lower class boundary of the median class, this one's the position, which was got 18, cumulative frequency before was 15, frequency of the median class was 8, class width was 1. So in the end I'll come up with 63.325. So this M1 is for the substitution, A1 for the output, B1 for the median position, M1 for substitution, A1 for the output. So now we shall go to question 14. Question 14 says, using a ruler a pencil and a pair of compasses only, construct a triangle ABC in which angle BAC is 30 degrees, angle ABC is 120 degrees, and side AB is 8 centimeters. Measure and record the lengths of AC and BC. Then Roman 1, draw an inscribed circle in the triangle ABC. Roman 2, measure and record the radius of the circle and hence find its area. So just start by, so in construction, the first thing to do is to make a sketch. So make a sketch of what is given, you shall come up with that sketch. So they told us that AB is 8 centimeters, angle BAC is 30, angle ABC is 120, and there is an inscribed circle. So you have to construct this sketch accurately. So you come here and say that for the actual diagram, now we are going to construct. The first thing to do is measure this length of 8 centimeters. So starting from there, 8 centimeters will end there using a ruler. So we shall come and show that that is our length AB, and it is 8 centimeters. The next is to put now I want to construct this angle 30, so I'll put my compass needle here and draw that arc. Then put the compass needle here and draw that arc without changing the radius of the compass. So next I'll adjust the radius of the compass, then put my compass needle here and draw that arc. Then put the compass needle there and without changing the radius, the new radius, then draw that arc. Now next is to draw a line from here through this intersection. So let's do that. So that angle will be 30 degrees. Now next is to draw an angle of 120. So 120, shall put our compass needle there and draw that arc. Then put the compass needle here and draw that arc. The next is to draw a line through this intersection to come up with that. Therefore that angle will be 120 degrees. But they told us in part B, if you look at part B, they want us to measure SC and BC. So you come here and say that the required value, that is point C, therefore SC will be 13.9 centimeters. What about BC? BC will be 8.1 centimeters. So next is to inscribe, let's look at part C. Part C, they say draw an inscribed circle in the triangle ABC. So let's go and draw an inscribed circle. So we shall put our compass there. For inscribing, we have to bisect the angles. So I'm going to first bisect this. So when I put my compass needle there, I'll draw my arc there. Then come and put the compass needle here and draw that arc. So the intersection, we are going to draw a line through that. That will be the bisect of that angle. Then after that, I'll come here, put the compass needle there, draw that arc. My aim is to bisect this angle, therefore I'll put the compass needle here, draw that arc, put the compass needle there, draw that arc. Then join to come up with that bisector. Now this intersection is our center of the circle, but we don't know the radius yet. So how do you get the radius? The radius will be got by dropping a perpendicular. So we shall put the compass needle there and draw that arc. Then come and put the compass needle here, draw that arc, put the compass needle there, draw that arc. Then join this center with this point of intersection to come up with that perpendicular. Now from here up to here is what we call the radius of the circle. So when I use that as the radius, I'll be able to draw that circle. So put the compasses over there, adjust to this radius, then draw that circle. So that is the inscribed circle. So in part B, they asked for, let's see, part B, they asked you to measure and record the radius of the circle and hence find its area. So I'll come here and say that radius, remember, the radius is measured from here, the center, up to here. So that radius will be 1.8 centimeters. Therefore, for the hence part, the area is given by pi r squared. So I'll come and substitute pi is 22/7, r is 1.8, but it is squared. Now this pi has two values and they didn't specify. You can use 22/7 or you can use 3.14. Both values will be okay. So the output will be 10.18. Now what if I had used 3.14? Let me see here with the calculator. So 3.14 multiplied by 1.8 squared, I'll come up with 10.17. So both values will be okay. You can get this one if you use this, or you get 10.17 if you use 3.14. So B1 for the correct sketch, M1 for side AB, M1 for constructing angle 30, M1 for constructing angle 120, then M1 for triangle ABC, A1 for both these two lengths, M1 for the bisector of any two angles, which is this and that, then M1 for dropping perpendicular from the intersection, A1 for the correct circle. So this dropping perpendicular has to be seen. A1 for the radius, M1 for the substitution, A1 for the required area. So that was question 14. Now we shall go to question 15, which say that A, using matrix methods, solve the following simultaneous equations. So let's first do that. So those are the simultaneous equations we are expressed in matrix form. So this 3 is there, -4 is here, 6 is here, -6 is there. So xy depends on the order x followed by y. Then they here to be 1 is there and 5 is there. So next is multiply both sides by the adjoint matrix. So adjoint means that you interchange these entries in the major diagonals. So that's why you see here -6 and +3. Then for the minor diagonal, we change the sign. That's why you see a +4 and -6. But you multiply on both sides, so this and also this side. The next is to expand this. So remember, multiplication is row by column. Therefore, I'll come and say that this times this is -18 plus this times this, which is +24, to come up with that. Then this times this is +24, which is that. Then this times this is -24, which is that. This times this is -18, which is that. This times this is +18, which is that. This times this is +24, which is that. This times this is -18, which is that. Then for this side, this times this is -6. This times this is +20. Then this times this is -6, and this times this is +15. So when I simplify, I'll come up with that. So that means that 6x is equal to 14, implying that x is 7/3. Also 6y is equal to 9, implying that y is equal to 3/2. So M1 will be for this, M1 for this, M1 for that, and A1 for both values of X and Y. So now we shall go to part B. So part B says 3 boys went shopping and bought loaves of bread, cakes, and packets of biscuit. Ken bought 3 loaves, 3 cakes, and 6 packets of biscuit. Ben bought 3 loaves, 4 cakes, and 5 packets of biscuit. Fen bought 3 loaves, 6 cakes, and 3 packets of biscuits. Represent this information in matrix form. So let's first do that. So for Ken we have 2, 3, 6, and for Ben we have 3, 4, 5, and this one we have 3, 6, 3. So we shall write that in matrix form. So we have 2, 3, 6, 3, 4, 5, and 3, 6, 3. So next is part B. Part B says 1 loaf costs shillings 3,500, 1 cake costs shillings 500, and a packet of biscuits costs shillings 200. Using matrix multiplication, obtain the money spent by each boy. Then hence determine the total amount spent by the 3 boys. So shall come here and first write the column matrix for the costs. This is for that is the column matrix. So shall come and write this for the bread, cake, and biscuit. So shall come and multiply using the correct order, and that will give you this. So how do they multiply? Row by column. So this times this gives you that, then this times this gives you this, this times this gives you that. That is for the first row. What about for the second row? This times this gives you this, this times this gives you this, and this times this gives you that. Then for the third row, this times this gives you this, this times this gives you that, and this times this gives you that. So the output, this one is that, this one is that, and this one is that. So the amount spent by Ken, Ben, and Fen is that. So in corresponding order, this for Ken, this for Ben, and this for Fen. Now for the hence part, they wanted you to get the total amount spent. Therefore, you shall come and add all the 3 to come up with that amount. So these are the total amount spent. So B1 for the item matrix, B1 for the cost matrix, B1 for the correct order of multiplication, M1 for multiplying, B1 for the output, A1 for stating, M1 for substitution or addition, A1 for the output. So now shall go to question 16. Question 16 says, part A, Peter's present age is a third of his father's age. In 10 years' time, he will be a half of his father's age then. How old is his father? So shall come and say that let X be the present age of the father. So shall draw some table of values here to help us to easily answer the question. So we have the father there and we have Peter there. So the present age of the father is X. What about for Peter? It will be a third. That's what they told us in the question. A third of his father's age. What about in 10 years' time? In 10 years' time, it means that the father will be X plus 10 and the son will be this plus 10, this present age plus 10. So B1 for the father's age in 10 years time and B1 for the son's Peter's age in 10 years time. Now in 10 years time they give us some relation that in 10 years time he will be a half of his father's age. So Peter will be a half of his father's age. So what does that mean? It means that the relationship will be that a half of the father's age will be equal to the age of Peter in 10 years time. Now there we have only one unknown, therefore shall come, and the next thing to do is to simplify. So this a half multiplied throughout gives you this, and this one multiplied throughout gives you that. Then collecting like terms, we come up with that. So a half minus a third is 1 over 6. Then making x the subject, it will be 30 years. So basically that is what they wanted. So for part B they said a 2-digit number in base 10 is equal to 5 times the sum of the digits. Find the number. So let the first digit be A and the second digit be B. Therefore in base 10 the 2-digit number will be A times 10 to the power 1 plus B times 10 to the power 0, but is equal to 5 times the sum of the numbers. So when I expand, I'll come up with this will be 10A, this will be B, this will be 5A, this will be 5B. Collect like terms gives you that. Then get the ratio to be that. So after that you shall compare and say that A is 4 and B is 5. Therefore the number was 45. So M1 is for equating, M1 for collecting like terms, M1 is for cross multiplying, and A1 is for the value of x. Then here M1 for equating, M1 for opening brackets, M1 for collecting like terms, M1 for correct ratio, B1 for values of A and B, and A1 for the required number. So now we shall go to question 17. Part A, Roman 1 says, determine the range corresponding to the domain. This for mapping x to x squared plus 1. So let's first do that part. So we have the domain as that. Then we have the formula which gives us the range. Therefore we shall use it, x squared plus 1. So for negative 3 it is that. For negative 1 becomes that. 0 is that. 1 is that. 3 is that. And 4 is that. So I'll come up with those values. But realize that 10 is repeated. But here you shouldn't repeat the values. So we shall come and rearrange in ascending order. And that will be the range. Then part B, represent the marking in Roman 1 on an arrow diagram. So we are coming here and draw our arrow diagram. We have the range and we have the domain and we have the range. So we shall come and first represent the domain, then also represent the range. Then we shall start mapping negative 3. Negative 3 corresponds to 10, so we shall come and put that arrow. Then negative 2 corresponds to 5, so we shall come and put that arrow. 0 corresponds to 1, so we shall come and put that arrow. 1 corresponds to 2, so we shall come and put that arrow. 3 corresponds to 10, so we shall come and put that arrow. 4 corresponds to 17, so we shall come and put that arrow. So basically that's what they wanted in that part. Part B says that given the functions hx equal to x plus 2, gx equal to x squared and fx equal to negative x. Find the values of x for which ghx is equal to fx. So ghx is equal to fx, meaning that you'll come and put your hx into gx. So hx was x plus 2 and gx was x squared. Therefore, where there is x here, you put there this value of hx, which is x plus 2. That is why we got x plus 2 everything squared. Fx was already negative x, so next is to open brackets and then collect like terms to get a quadratic. And solving the quadratic, you can either solve by factorizing or bulldozer to come up with those values of x. So this m1 is for these first three, and this another m1 is for the last three. Then b1 for the outputs, and b1 for rearranging in ascending order without repeating. Then b4 for all correct, so all these ones correct, that is b4, b3 if one is missing, b2 if two are missing, and b1 if three are missing. Then this m1 is for this substitution, m1 for this quadratic equation, m1 for factorizing, and a1 for the output. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and be reminded that the next video will be on the solutions for math paper 2, which the paper for math paper 2 was already uploaded, so you can go and check it and try out the solution. So if you're not yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button below this video so that you can receive updates when the next video for solutions of math paper 2 has been uploaded. And also, if you know of any student who's not yet on this platform, please share the link of this video with them via social media platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp, so that we can all benefit as a family.